How's everybody doing today on this fantastic Monday? A lot going on, a lot of updates with Iran, a lot of updates with France, a lot of updates with what in the hell is going on with Jim Carrey. We'll end with that. Man, these masks, they're getting nuts. I think when it comes to what we always thought, whether it came to Biden or it came to Hillary Clinton or any of these people, that we suspected something. Remember when Biden was 3 feet taller than he once was? It's just, I think we were right the entire time. It's a crazy thing to think of, but we are here. And yes, Maynard 2706 over there on YouTube, home of the free because of the brave. Facts on that. Linda Perino. Hi, Thomas. Good to see you. Wayne Heim says, my TV screen says scheduled for 9 p.m. I went back and checked it. Not right. That's crazy. That's ScrewTube for you. But it's good to see everybody here. Again, still dealing with a lot of stuff with the family. I know we only went live twice last week. I apologize for the inconsistency, but you just have to understand what's taking place with my family. We don't have to go into that very far, but my grandmother just passed of dementia, end-stage dementia. My father has end-stage dementia. So just bear with me for the time being, and we'll eventually get back on track. No reason to unsubscribe or anything like that. We will get to the news. We will get to everything that we need to. Freddie Colton is not here today. He is sick, and that is totally fine. I hope he gets better and all that jazz, and it's good to have you here. I want to say that we have unlocked Super Chats over on YouTube. If anybody wants to try that out right now, it would be very appreciative. Just click the $sign, the money sign down there, and see what we can get done. I have goals set up that are embedded in YouTube, so it goes with whoever has donated the most will get things, that sort of situation. It will automatically transfer your information, screen name, whatever it may be, your tag, whatever it may be. I could shout you out, maybe even getting some merch along those lines. So just understand that. Susan O.B., thank you so much. Family comes first. Absolutely. But we're all family here too. I just hate to, I'm not trying to put you guys on the back burner or anything like that. It's just very strenuous. And I don't know anybody who's in my real IRL life that has lost their grandmother and their father within weeks of one another. Well, Thomas, he hasn't passed yet. He doesn't even know who I am. So you might as well be talking to the corner of the wall in your room, which is so sad. But it is what it is, as they say, and I hate that terminology and that phrase. But and it's very cliche. But yeah, it is what it is. So before we get into today's show, and I have a lot to show you guys here today, we got to go ahead and do a big thank you out there to Noble Gold. Let's go ahead and do that right now. The rules of money are being rewritten right in front of our eyes. The institutions that control the financial system aren't waiting, warning, or wishing. They are acting, buying gold and silver at an unprecedented pace. They are preparing for something. The question is, are you? For nearly a decade, Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of people protect their wealth and their physical gold and silver. As the world shifts to hard assets, the window to act is closing. Let Noble Gold show you how simple it is to protect yourself and others in your family. While everyone else is reacting to the news, Noble Gold clients are positioned and they are ready. They understand that when the rules change, you need assets that don't depend on the system. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Make sure that you do so. And again, my friends, that is TRU TRUreportinggold.com. Hit that up and download your free wealth protection kit. Do it now. Again, that's noblegoldinvestments.com, TRUreportinggold.com. The rules are changing. Make sure that you are ready. And we thank Noble Gold for being the safeguard for what matters most, your family, your finances, and your future. noblegoldinvestments.com, TRUreportinggold.com. Hit that up. Anybody on YouTube, hit that the money sign down there, and let's see if it works. I hope I set it up correctly. That would be great. Gas just went up to $3.29 a gallon in Indiana, Thomas. Yeah. It has not gone up here in South Carolina, but when America's at war and you have a giant stockpile in Tehran, it tends to go up. But we have, I think the reservoirs are refilled from Venezuelan oil. So hopefully that works. I want to go ahead and get into this really quick. I want to see what the left is talking about right now. Trump tells CNN that the big wave is yet to come with the war in Iran. Now, we're getting back and forth with this. So this is coming from Jake Tapper. We're getting a back and forth of this, and we're going to get into this phone call. We're going to get into some information that is out there, and I definitely want your comments to be heard. I want to hear, what you guys think about all of this. As you can see, your comments and all that kind of stuff. Ooh, let me fix that because you cannot necessarily see me. That was kind of sloppy. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into that. Glad you're here, Thomas. Thank you, Brand Frog. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get into this. So it says right here, President Trump told CNN in a 9-minute phone interview Monday morning, that's today, that the U.S. military is knocking the crap out of Iran. But, in quote, the big wave is yet to come. We're knocking the crap out of them, in quote, told CNN's Jake Tapper. I think it's going very well. It's very powerful. We've got the greatest military in the world, and we're using it. Trump addressed a wide range of topics in the interview, including the accepted length of the conflict. Accepted length, and we'll get to that here soon. His surprise at Iran's widespread retaliation and the country's expected secession plan. A widespread retaliation. Now, I understand that the borders were wide open during Biden. I understand all of that. We've heard about multiple terrorists that have been brought into this country. I think the guesstimated number was about 1,500. I don't know what that number is because they lower it just like they did with illegal, saying, well, there's 10 to 12. You're getting that from left-wing media when it could be 20 to 25 million. So let's just say that 1,500 to, as a lowball number, could it be 15,000, 20,000 mercenaries that came through the southern border? They were coming from China, Iran, Afghanistan, many places. It wasn't just from, South America, Venezuela, Cuba, these places that were coming up. It was, overseas as well. I think the number of Chinese that were coming over here were very loud, were very a significant number as well. So again, that is out there. So when it comes to this, when it comes to Iran, and I'm just going to put this out there, I don't want us to be bogged down. I don't want this to bog us down, and to be honest with you, everybody else is, a lot of people are saying, well, what if China takes place? What if they hop into this? Russia has given Iran nuclear weaponry, not to say nuclear, but just weaponry. You think of the Chinese want to stand back and watch us get bogged down and deplete ourselves. That's what they want. The CCP. I don't know about Xi Jinping, but the CCP most certainly does. They want to see us weakened. They want to see us in a conflict, and how long this conflict will last, I do not know. None of us know. President Trump seems very confident as we progress through this podcast, telling us that it could be over within 2 weeks, or this could drag out. I don't want to see another Afghanistan, Iraq type situation. I do not want to see that. I don't think any of his supporters, including all of us, want it to be that. We do not want to get, in quote, bogged down by any means necessary. So, I think we're all in the same boat with that. On how long the war might last, he says, the president says, I don't want to see this go on too long. I always thought it would be about 4 weeks, so a month. And we're a little ahead of schedule, which is good. I do not want to see, and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody. Done in 30, Spirit 554 says, according to one of our favorite Anons out there, that yes, done in 30. Let's make it clean and swift, correct? Maybe that has to do with it. I see people messaging me saying, Iran was mentioned in the post 94 times. That's great. Whatever. That's great. He goes on to say this, as if the U.S. was doing more beyond the military assault to help the Iranian people regime control of their country from the regime right now. He said, yes, we are indeed. But right now, we want everyone staying inside. It's not safe out there, and it's about to get even less safe, the president said. This was this morning, okay? We haven't even started hitting them hard. The big wave hasn't even happened. The big one is coming soon. And then you can put this into your into the stratosphere, or into what you think may happen, right? I don't know how long this is going to last, and I don't know what, quote unquote, the big one is. Are we just going to decimate this place? Because there are a lot of innocent people, and a lot of people in America that are saying, they're out in the streets cheering, let's go, take them out. We want to be freed, yada, yada, yada. And that's fine. And that's grand and totally cool. But I do not want anyone harmed, especially Americans, at all. I don't know necessarily why we are doing this. And I'm not going to get into that. There is a breakdown that I will show you while we're doing this. I will go ahead and say that Israel did take the first shots, and then we followed up right behind them. So that's where we are at, I guess, to make peace and strength in the Middle East. Hasn't happened yet, but maybe this is part of it all. Maybe it is part of that. If anyone has an update, have there been any American casualties? I would like to know that in the chat as well. By the way, 5,000 gold pill challenge in pill chat. And if anybody could just donate something just to make sure that the super chats on YouTube are working, please do so. I would really appreciate it. All super chats and all gold pills will be shouted out, and all Rumble rants will be shouted out as well, too. I missed 2 last week, 2 $20 donations, and that was fantastic. And I thank you who did that. I missed it, but I thank you very, very much for your donation. So, again, let's go to more left-wing news, because I love their perspective on all of this. An end to the U.S. military aid to Israel may be closer than you think. This is from The Atlantic, very far left. Benjamin Netanyahu's decision to walk away from the U.S. instance says a lot about shifting dynamics. That's good for us. Let's just be honest with ourselves. That is good for us. So as you can see here, when Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in Mar-a-Lago in late December, he had a surprise message for President Trump. Israel would begin weaning itself off the U.S. military aid. Trump was taken aback. The billions of dollars that Washington provides Israel each year, after all, have been a bedrock of America's Middle East strategy for decades and essentially support for its closest regional ally. Trump, ever the wary transactionalist, ribbed the prime minister. Oh, and what do you get out of it? Again, this is left-wing news. There we go. Thank you, Nathan Davis. Thank you so much for the $4.99 over there. It is working. Bada boom, bang. Everybody like Nathan Davis for putting that into the chat. Thank you so much, Nathan. I appreciate that. Also, Jack Attack with the back-to-back cookies. Thank you so much over there on Pilled. Man, that lights up really well. That looks great. Thank you so much, Nathan. And thank you so much, Jack Attack. So, again, when it comes to this, weaning themselves off of us. Oh, it's you doing it, right? It's Israel doing it. They're doing us the favor of weaning off of us as we're in the middle of an Iranian war, right? They don't no longer need you no more. We're good to go. It's like that friend who's like, hey, man, you mind spotting me rent this month? You mind helping me out? You mind helping me with a car payment? And then you're like, yeah, you help them out all the time. And then you need help from them. And they're like, man, I can't do it. Then you realize they're doing very well. And they've helped themselves out enough to where they're on top and they're able to be self-sufficient, which Israel has always been self-sufficient. Let's just be honest. Yeah, they are the good house in the bad neighborhood. I totally understand that. I get that. But again, it's just like, you know what? We're good to go. That's how it comes off. But maybe this was President Trump saying, and looking at all of our comments, all of our, talking points, these sorts of things, saying, we're so done with this and with them and Netanyahu that we're going to take a step back. And this is just kind of flipping the script, if you will, with the left-wing news, saying, oh, no, it was them. They're the bigger ones. They're the bigger man. They became the bigger man and say, you know what, we're going to step back for a little while. And it's just kind of like, what? What are you talking about? We're helping you out. Are you just dipping out right now? That's crazy to think about. Wild. But, I think it was President Trump that was like, listen, we're just kind of, we'll do this for a month, and then we're kind of done. I really hope that comes to fruition. And we kind of separate ourselves. George Costanza with his mom. If I'm out there and you're out there, and if I see you, there's not enough electricity to electroshock me back into coherence. That's what I think is happening. And this is the left-wing version of that. What says you? What says you? It's very interesting when we get to that point. So maybe the truth will come out. This is already coming out now that, they're backing off. That's great. Whatever. It also says here that Trump told the prime minister, according to the official, your new approach is a great idea. Maybe it was them. I don't know. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had told Netanyahu in a separate meeting the same day that the United States would embrace his approach. But was this the doings of Netanyahu, or was this President Trump being like, which I don't think his ego would let that go, being like, I'll give you the credibility of saying we're stepping back from the United States and we can handle this on our own. Because in all honesty, they can't. We're always there. We're always the big brother. We're always the penny bank. We're always this and that. We're always sticking up for them. And then all of a sudden they're like, nah, we don't need you anymore. Does that sound like them? Trump absolutely despises Netanyahu. Honestly, who wouldn't? I hope you're right. I hope you're right. It's very, I think we're just getting like a twisted, they got to make Trump look bad. Like he's like the big guy or whatever. And he's the bad guy. And he's pushing these people around and they don't want to have anything to do with him, which in reality is maybe we don't want to have anything to do with you, where we get in foreign conflicts. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. The big one is coming from Mediaite, ITE, another leftist publication. Blockbuster Iran report after private interviews with Trump. CNN's Jake Tapper to deliver a blockbuster report about the United States' ongoing military operation after, let me minimize this so we can, there we go. You can read it. Still can't read it. There we go. Anchor Kate Boldon paused an interview with John Bolton to allow Tapper to call in before asking her colleagues about his conversation with President Trump. This is the phone call. It's like 9 minutes, I think. I just got off the phone with President Trump. It was a 9-minute phone interview, and we talked about the war in Iran. I'm going to share some of it with you right now. The president said, quote, "We're knocking the crap out of them. I think it's going very well. It's very powerful. They've got the greatest military in the world, and we're using it," began Tapper before pressing on. I asked the president how long he thought the military operation or war might last. He said, quote, "I don't want to see it go on for too long. We don't want to get bogged down. I always thought it would be 4 weeks, and we're a little ahead of schedule." I asked the president if the U.S. was doing more than these military strikes to help the Iranian people regain control of Iran against the regime, to seize the country from the Iranian regime, and he said yes, the president said. Yes, we are indeed. But right now, we want everyone staying inside. It is not safe out there. He said, quote, "We haven't even started hitting them hard. The big wave hasn't even happened. The big one is coming soon. We asked about a bunch of other stuff too that I'm writing up and we'll share it later on the lead at 5 p.m. So these conversations have come on. These conversations have happened. These phone calls have taken part, and that's totally fine. So let's go ahead and get into this video really quick. By the way, if you're liking what you're listening to, please go ahead and help out with and thank Nathan Davis. If you haven't, I thumbsed him up. He's got 4 likes. Let's go. There's the love from me. Jack Attack and everybody on Pilled, show that love, show that support for sure. And no Rumble rants as of yet. That's okay. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. What do you guys think?
A threat indeed it is. We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored.
I don't want this to carry on too long. Lucy Rosepetal, thank you so much for the can. I appreciate that. Precisely the reason. They are constantly trying to get every last penny of free money, and we aren't going to play that game. It says right here, so much moving forward. It will be made thoroughly clear. And I like that, Nathan Davis, as well. Trump absolutely despises Netanyahu. I agree with that, too. I have a new nephew named Nathan Davis, Dallas. Nice. Cool. Coal burner. So that's where we're at. I don't want, we will go as long as it takes. I don't like those words. He's saying he doesn't want to get bored. I don't want us to. If we can nip this in the bud, I will be pleasant. I will be very pleasant and very happy if that takes place. You also see the Cash App right here. If you want to scan that with your phone, hit that up. I was stupid and left the scroll down below over it so you couldn't scan it, which is so idiotic, but it's okay. Yeah, you can scan that too if you want to, if that's easier. Super chats are the easiest, and pill donations, so do that. But we will go as long as it takes. My goodness. What are you going to do? I don't want it to go as long as it takes, and I hope he does get bored. He says he doesn't get bored. Get bored. Be done with it. I don't want to go for as long as it takes. We have a lot of other people jumping in on this right now, which is, I don't like this guy. None of us do. But let's go ahead and take a listen.
I have ordered that we increase the number of nuclear warheads on our arsenal in order to put pay to any speculation. We will no longer communicate on the figures regarding our nuclear arsenal, contrary to past practice.
That's not right.
In order to be free, therefore, we must be feared. And in order to be feared, we have to be powerful. This increase in our arsenal reflects that approach. But in order to be powerful, and this is the second part of my intervention, we have to be united. And I'm going to speak about Europe.
Okay, well, they're getting involved. Everyone thinks the French are just a bunch of, girly boys. So soy boys, whatever it may be, whatever terminology you want to use. They are not really reliable. I think we can go back to World War II on that as well. World War I, too. They're not really a big dog if you get my drift. Okay? At all. So they want to step up and saying they're putting up their nuclear arsenal, and then that's going to feed into the news of nuclear war, World War III, yada, yada, yada. Guess what? We're the superpower. We are so much stronger than any other country in the world. We control the battlefield. We control the chess game, especially with President Trump. So let's just get that out there. Let's just be blunt about it. We are the superpower of the world. We are the strongest military in the world. We will not back down. We will not do anything to allow someone to do something unauthorized. We're arming our nukes. Are nukes even real? Folks, Linda Perino, yes, stolen arsenal, facts on that. Probably got them from you-know-where. When it comes to Zelensky, we're on that now? Yeah, exactly. So again, I am not the only thing that I am worried about. Trusty Turnip, I don't even think they're allowed guns. No way. It's like the UK. For sure. She was asking, are those pansies even allowed guns? It's the same thing. I don't think so. Number one, I don't want us to get bogged down in this. I don't want us to get stuck in the mud and the muck with this. And number two, I do not want us to have false flags in America due to what's happening to Iran. I do not want these mercenaries that do not care about us. They literally, physically, mentally, everything about them. Their whole being is to hate us. These mercenaries, and they will do anything to destroy what they can. Am I afraid of getting hit with a nuke? No. Do I believe in nukes? Not really, no. But if there are false flags up and down the block, that's not going to be good. Again, 1,500 of them, literal terrorists, allowed into the United States. What that number truly is, I don't know. Zach from Tennessee. Scare event necessary, almost there, folks. Enjoy the show. I don't want a scare event in America. I don't want that to happen. I hope there are no casualties when it comes to this, what we are in right now. That's what I pray and I hope. No casualties on domestic ground at all. And I hope you feel the exact same way. I hope you do as an American, just to let you guys know. I wanted to show you guys this as well. Ayatollah's gone. He's done. Wife, done. Multiple people taken out. And we're going to get into this, and I'm going to pause and go at the same time. So let's take a look at this.
I just spoke to President Trump for several minutes about Iran. I asked him about who is going to take over now that the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, is gone. And his answer was interesting. He said the attack was so successful it knocked out most of the candidates. He told me it's not going to be anybody that we were thinking of because they are all dead. I talked to him about the fact that the Iranians had tried to kill him. There was a plot in 2024, an Iranian plot to try to kill Trump. And he said of the Ayatollah, I got him before he got me.
Very interesting, because I know a lot of us were speculating in the, watching the news. Was this real? Was this a real thing? I know this was circulating in the news for about 2 or 3 weeks that the Iranian people, when this was during Butler, what took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. You remember that? I'm sure that you do. And then people were saying that this was an Iranian plot to take him out. I don't know if that was what that was. I don't think so. I think it was a multi-faceted scenario for sure. And I think that that's what that was. Were they part of it? I have no idea. Probably will never know. But President Trump is saying, I got him before he got me. So maybe this is a vendetta. Maybe this is just clapping back and, let's just take them out. Let's take these Ayatollahs out. Let's take out the regime. Let's, put them back in. Does this work? More times no than yes. Let's just be honest with ourselves. So, let's just hope it goes accordingly. But again, I got him before he got me. Think back to Butler. That was when we saw it all circulating in the news for 2 to 3 weeks. That was out there. And now we're here in a war with Iran. So all notions of this kind of point to maybe they did have some sort of faction or involvement in what took place with Butler. What say you in the chat? I would like to think, what do you guys think when it comes to that? Very interesting. Let's see what you say. And I'll definitely, if you want to drop super chats, you can do $1.99. Just throw it in there and I'll read it because the chat moves and I may miss it. Zach from Tennessee says right here, thank you for the cam, brother. Hoping for the best, but unfortunately the end won't be for everyone. This is war. Honor our dead. Mission first. Keep marching. Yeah, I assume that we will see some casualties. I just want to know, is this a vendetta thing? Is this something that is going to stick? Is this going to be something that is going to be a permanent situation where there is peace in the Middle East? And you're seeing these war hawks out there like Lindsey Graham and many others saying, well, we're not stopping here. We're not stopping here. We're going to go to other countries and do this. We'll get to that later on in the podcast. But again, I listen, do we want to be bogged down with this? People are saying gas prices are going up, things are going up, everything, stock market, that's going up. But I agree that it's fake. You know what I mean by that. Is that even real? What kind of sick implying is this? I don't know what you mean by that, Linda. People are saying Israel first. This was a huge mistake. Israel pulled the trigger first. Trump wants the good people in Iran to be free. And I understand that, Lucy Rose Petal. But does anybody even care about Iran? We have people here that aren't free. We're not safe here. But I'm not going to get into that. Just letting you know where I stand. Maybe we're just not seeing the forest for the trees. Maybe that's what it is. That old saying. As that old saying goes, right? Who knows? It isn't a vendetta, Nathan says. Trump has a family he loves very much. What would a father do to protect his children, to protect the whole country? Perhaps. He's not my father. My father is the Lord. But again, I got him before he got me.
Of the Ayatollah, I got him before he got me. They tried twice. Well, I got him first. As for how long the war will go on, the president told me he always thought it was going to be a 4 or 5 week deal. That's what he told me, a 4 or 5 week operation. He said it could be shorter, and he was prepared to go longer. And about the 3 Americans who were killed, the president said it's war and you have casualties in war. He marveled at the fact that with all the operations he has conducted as president in Venezuela, the one last summer in Iran, and this one, that the total casualty count, American casualties, is 3. That's a quick summary of a rather lengthy conversation with President Trump tonight.
So there you go. We have 3 casualties as of right now. I don't know what that number is as of today. This came out last night. So let's just understand that. That's good. That's, fantastic. That's better than what took place in Afghanistan. We were trying to leave with Biden. Can we be honest with ourselves? And how many American troops died during that? Were they left men and women behind? There's no comparison at this point of us leaving Afghanistan compared to 3 people passing from war. There are casualties. We need to understand that. I understand that. I hope you do as well. 6 casualties as of 1 hour ago. Thank you, Sub Pack Vet. Thank you. 6 people as of now. And I assume, what I've read is that they're coming at us pretty tough, pretty hard, pretty heavy. So there is that, which is wild. I don't know what's happened with your family, Thomas, and I will pray for you for the spiritual warfare. Don't give up, please. I'm not giving up. No. Dementia happened with our family. I'll probably get it. My father has it. My father's sister had it, passed away from it. My grandmother had it. She passed away from it. So, I don't know. I think it's genetic, but I hope it's whatever it may be. That's what's happened. It's been very tough, very debilitating. But the show must go on, right? To some extent. Right. Let's go ahead and get into this. This is Pete Hegseth speaking, and then we'll get into something that's pretty in length and in depth that I saw from Jordan out there. Pete Hegseth says right here, turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel. Let's take a listen.
Turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel. This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it.
So again, I like that because regime change it doesn't work. It doesn't ever work. Just look at what's taking place in Mexico. Let's get rid of the cartel, and then you see Scheinbaum. She's working with the cartel, allegedly. You look into this, and you're just kind of like, is there going to be ever an end to this? Well, our, southern border is blocked off, but they're already in here. They're kind of trapped inside of America. And when it comes to going after Mexico, again, think about it. This is already in the past. That was, a week and a half ago. That's gone now. That's gone. That was Monday of last week we were talking about it. That's gone. That's old news now. Now we're on to Iran. What's taking place in Mexico? I don't know. You would have to follow up on that news to figure that out. But it's no longer in the mainstream media. All the boomers, all the normies, not placing them in the same category. All the leftists, all these sorts of people are well, what's taking place with Mexico? Well, now we're on to Iran. And this is not a regime change war. That's pleasant to hear. I like that. But that's good. I think that's a good thing to hear from Pete Hegseth, because a lot of people out there, that are now falling off the Trump train, that are falling off a lot of things, falling out of this community, are basically saying, well, this is a regime change and that never works. Why are we doing regime change? And to hear from Pete Hegseth, this isn't necessarily a regime change, because there's not going to be anybody to fill the spot as of right now, because they're all gone. And we haven't heard of, in quote, whatever this, in quote, big wave is. I don't know what that's going to be. I just don't want anything to happen on our own soil. And I think we can all agree to that for sure. Let's do a breakdown of this. I saw this earlier, and I wanted to kind of bring it onto the show for sure. I'll read this to you as well, just to kind of get it so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. Eliminated. Senior members of the Iranian regime's Ministry of Intelligence. Sayyad Yahya Hamidi, Deputy Minister of Intelligence of Israel Affairs, who led terrorist activities targeting Jews, Western actors, and regime opponents in Iran and abroad. Jahalpur Hussain, head of the espionage division, taken out, guided by precise IDF intelligence. They were targeted and eliminated during the opening strike, the Operation Roaring Lion. That's President Trump when it comes to lion. You think that's where they got that for sure. Additional senior officials were also eliminated. The IAF also struck the ministry's headquarters in Tehran. This is this morning when it comes to, I'm assuming, Eastern Standard Time. This morning for sure. We have this as well. Just bringing you guys up to speed right now. Iran is hell-bent on prophetic Islamist delusions, cannot have nuclear weapons, Hegseth says. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on Monday, today, that crazy regimes like Iran, hell-bent on prophetic Islamist delusions, cannot have nuclear weapons, as he defended a major U.S. military operation against Tehran ordered by President Donald J. Trump. Speaking at a news conference, Hegseth said the operation launched 2 days ago under Trump's direct orders was, in quote, the most lethal, most complex, and most precise aerial operation in history. He accused Iran's leadership of waging what he called decade-long wars against the United States through proxy forces and attacks on U.S. targets in the Middle East. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we're going to finish it, Hegseth said. If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you, he added. Hegseth said that Trump had drawn a clear line after years of what he called Iranian belligerence, and reiterated that Washington would not allow Tehran to obtain nuclear weapons. And I think it was almost, back in October, September, around that sort of time, we took them out. We took out their nuclear assets. We bombed them. But do they still have them? I don't know. Maybe a mile underground? Do they have silos? Did we take that out? I don't know. Maybe somebody can do some research on that. Lucy Rosepetal, thank you so much for the can. I appreciate it. Those figures are confirmed deaths, Sub-Pac vet said, when it came to 6 casualties due to Americans being lost. So we got France taking place. We got a lot of people out there taking place. Yes, 6 U.S. servicemen have now been killed in action during Operation Epic Fury per U.S. CENTCOM. Just awful. The bodies are 2 unaccounted for service members were found in a facility hit by Iran in their opening strikes. Pray for their families tonight and other American heroes in the Middle East. VW Blue Sky, thank you for the 2 bones. Sorry to hear your loss. I miss my granny. Yeah, granny, grandmom, Nana, grandmama is what I called her. She's in a better place for sure. I'm kind of going in real time as well. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. What do you think about Marco Rubio? I'd love to hear about that. What do you guys think about that? Just trying to grab stuff on off the rip, just to let you guys know. Show some love for VW. Blue Sky. Show that love. Thank you for the 2 bones. I appreciate that. Bigly. I'm so glad it's working. I can't believe we're kind of back to what was going on. Obviously, not as big as of a crowd, but the love is still there, and I really do appreciate that wholeheartedly, for sure. So when it comes to Pete Hegseth, listen, we're not, make no bones about it. We're not playing around. Iran is hell-bent on prophetic Islamist delusions, cannot have nuclear weapons, and I totally understand that. We can go into this as well when it comes to Marco Rubio. Let me know what you guys think about him. I like him now and not before. I think we are Marco Rubio 3.0 right now. Interesting. Okay. All right. Marco has been surprisingly good at his job. He's changed my mind, actually. I'm not sure what to think about Rubister. Hopefully not playing both sides. I totally understand that. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Strike on a building in southern Iran. The Iranians are saying there's a school reporting large numbers of civilians, including children killed.
Yeah, I've seen those reports. I would refer you, not because I'm not trying to answer your question, but I don't want to get it wrong. The Department of War would be investigating that if that was our strike, and I would refer your question to them, and I'll make sure they're aware that you have that question. But
what they're talking about is if we hit a school full of children. That's, again, not okay. We have such a an arsenal of these very advanced technological AI controlled, possibly drone controlled missiles. How are we making a mistake by hitting a school? I pray to God that is not a real thing. He's not coming out and saying it. If we're doing stuff like this, I am totally off board. I'm out of here when it comes to that. That is unbelievable. Supposedly he told a gang of 8 about the attacks prior. Wow. Okay.
I'd like to know. Well, clearly the United States would not deliberately target a school. Our objectives are missiles, both the ability to manufacture them and the ability to launch them, and the one-way attract drones. That would be our focus, and that's what we would be focused on. We would have no interest and, frankly, no incentive to target civilian infrastructure. The Iranians are, on the other hand, targeting civilian infrastructure. You guys have seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. They're hitting hotels. They're hitting embassies. They're hitting airports.
I did see the hotel
They're hitting
attack.
Oil infrastructure. Well, it'd be very tragic, but I can't speak to the details behind it because I just don't have it. It would be a tragic outcome if it's happened. I don't have the details as to what led to it. But what is clear is that the United States would not deliberately target a school. They are, on the other hand, deliberately targeting civilians, as you've seen, because you know why? They are a terroristic regime. They sponsor terrorism and they participate in terrorism.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Jack Attack 17. I did not like Rubio, but now I am impressed. Good work, Gal says. They purposely put their bases by schools and hospitals for this very reason. Very interesting. What a sadistic. That is so sadistic. Wow. Continue with Marco Rubio.
Assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. Going back to the purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where they can hide behind.
So take the shield out, take their leaders out, and let's get the hell out of Dodge, is what I think. Lucy Rosepetal, thank you for the cookie. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the cookie. Everybody hit up, thumbs up, VW Blue Sky for sure. All right, let's get into this. Let me just make sure that I am still on topic. I like hearing these things in real time, kind of researching in real time. Well, yep. We got to go into this now, for sure. And I think this is the last part before I show this video that is pretty interesting to me. So you also have France talking about that they're about to, step up. Saudi Arabia has shut down Aramco's Ras Tanura. It's the largest oil refinery following an Iranian drone strike. Begun the attack. Ras Tanura processed 555,000 barrels of crude oil per day. Gone. Saudi Arabia is in it now. They took it out. So when it comes to this, I mean, who's gonna? Are we just gonna? Who are they going to be dependent on? Us? Is that where this goes? Take out their oil reserves, take out the Ayatollah, take out their regime, take out their missile strike defense, their shield that they were prepping for, that they were gonna do such. Take out those three things and then leave. And then what? Supposedly he told the Gang of Eight, about attacks prior. Maybe. So that's where we're at. So let's go into this video, which I find pretty interesting. And maybe this will kind of pull everything together. Here we go.
What sense should we make of all of this? Because there is so much going on here. First and foremost, what we have to understand is that there are 3 actors in this assault on Iran, not just 2. This is not Trump doing the bidding of Netanyahu or doing the bidding of Israel or so forth. That's just a totally reductionist conception. There are 3 main actors. There's the United States, there is Israel for sure, but there is also the rising Sunni Arab world. And so then that leads to the next question. What is this offensive for? Why are we doing this? What we have to understand is that Iran defines itself as a civilization state in the fullest sense of the term, meaning that its culture and its values are not confined to a single nation state, but stretch out over what's called the Shiite crescent, made up of Iraqi Shiites, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Houthis in Yemen, and Hamas. They're Sunni, but they're part of it. Iran's foreign policy has been animated by a sacred narrative, Shia messianism fused with anti-US Israel geopolitics, what one analyst termed messianic multipolarity, in which geopolitical power is pursued not merely for national interest, but as part of a divine responsibility to challenge Western unipolar domination. That was what the bomb was for. A nuclear bomb would give this messianic multipolarity its ultimate power to inordinately shape the Middle Eastern region in its own image, not by using the bomb, but just by having the bomb. It would, in effect, turn Iran into a quasi-superpower and thus bolster its messianic multipolarity. Operation Epic Fury strikes at the very core of this civilizational self-conception. And the key here is that the regime faces an existential threat, not to just its political institutions, but to the entire civilizational project it claims to embody. Iran's maximalist retaliation, right, targeting the Gulf, activating proxies, threatening Hormuz, reflects a regime that perceives this as a fight for civilizational survival, not a limited military exchange. And yet this axis of resistance, as it's often called, that's the proxy network through which Iran projected civilizational influence across the region. That axis of resistance is at its weakest it's been in decades. The fall of Assad in December of 2024 in Syria severed the logical backbone connecting Tehran and Hezbollah and Hamas. Lebanese Hezbollah, which was absolutely battered by the 12-day war, Hamas is operationally crippled. Iraqi Shia militias are extremely limited. Only the Houthis in Yemen, who have announced the resumption of the Red Sea attacks, retain significant independent capability in all of this. But the axis has been radically weakened. And so a decapitation strike on Tehran would pretty much unravel entirely the axis. I mean, that's the idea. And so what we're seeing is the Shiite civilizational sphere, this messianic multipolarity, fragmenting under the pressure of military decapitation, proxy degradation, and the loss of its Syrian land corridor. And so what remains is not so much a coherent civilizational network, but a dispersed archipelago of ideological actors, dangerous, but no longer a functioning civilizational system or network. And in its place, in the place of this axis of resistance or this messianic multipolarity, is the rising Sunni Arab world with Saudi Arabia at the center. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 is not merely an economic diversification plan, as you'll so often hear on CNBC and other nonsense like that. It is a civilizational project that explicitly positions the Saudi kingdom as the heart of the Arab and Islamic worlds. It operates on three pillars: a vibrant society rooted in Islamic heritage, investment powerhouse, and a hub connecting Africa, Europe, and Asia.
So we could talk about that. I mean, we remember the President Trump with the Saudis putting their hand on that glowing orb. We can resort back to that. We can revert back to thinking about that orb that they put their hands on. I don't know what that was. Very strange. The sword dance, all these sorts of things. You could think about what took place with China, where President Trump was the first U.S. president to be invited into the ancient city of China. We have to go back almost a decade to remember these things that had taken place, and where President Trump would go. You can remember the timeline, if you can, where President Trump would go when he would fly in Air Force One, that right behind him would be Obama. Those were in the posts, and you would see that he was trying to make amends with these people and trying to cut deals over and over. But I think those deals fell short, as they knew that the supreme leader of the United States, of the world, of geopolitics, is President Trump and the U.S. military, to not mess around with us, for sure. So again, we all know where Obama came from. You could talk about CIA. You could talk about all these sorts of places. Bred for it, created for it, instilled in it, brought up through the rankings of it, and then let's just be honest with ourselves, not voted in, but selected as the leader of the free world. And look where that took us. And we'll get to that here in just a second. I can show you. So again, thinking back to Saudi Arabia, thinking about reverting back to the sword dance, reverting back to our thoughts on the hand on the glowing orb, going to the crown, Queen Elizabeth, all these sorts of things, going from country to country to country, allowing this to happen. It brings this up right now, which President Trump dropped, and I will bring it in before we go any further. As you can see right here, if I didn't terminate Obama's horrendous Iran nuclear deal, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon 3 years ago. This is what this gentleman is talking about, where this was blocked. So, and it says right here, that was the most dangerous transaction we have ever entered into, and it had been allowed to stand. The world would be an entirely different place right now. You can blame Barack Hussein Obama and sleepy Joe Biden. Thank you, President Trump. That's out there, okay? That is out there in the forefront. I went to school with too many Iranians in 2007. So many sad stories. They lost fathers and brothers to war and harsh laws. They have had so much appreciation for being in America. Good. It doesn't exclude the ones that are here that are mercenaries, though. Good work, Al. Got to watch out. Let's continue with this. I'll pull it back a bit. Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 is not merely an economic diversification plan, as you'll so often hear on CNBC and other nonsense like that. It is a civilizational project that explicitly positions the Saudi kingdom as the heart of the Arab and Islamic worlds. It operates on three pillars: a vibrant society rooted in Islamic heritage, a global powerhouse, and a hub connecting Africa, Europe, and Asia. And those three pillars constitute nothing less than a bid for Sunni civilizational leadership. And that's where the Abraham Accords come in. The Abraham Accords, which normalize relationships between Israel and the Sunni Arab nations, represent a structural realignment driven primarily by shared opposition to Shiite Persian Iran. Iran remains the principal impediment to a full-orbed realization of the Accords and the economic prosperity that they promise for the region, which for Trump is absolutely key in destroying the Islamic radicalization so prevalent in the region. And so what do these strikes ultimately mean? First and foremost, that the Shiite civilizational sphere is collapsing as a coherent strategic system. Whether the Islamic Republic survives or falls, the axis of resistance connecting Hezbollah, Hamas, Iraqi militias, and the Houthis under Iranian coordination has been structurally degraded beyond any previous level. What remains are fragmented, ideologically driven actors operating with decreasing coordination and increasing volatility. So that's the first thing that's happening as of today. The second thing related to it is that the Sunni Arab civilizational sphere is rising. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 project, the Abraham Accords architecture for the region, and the Gulf states' growing technological and economic sophistication position them as the dominant civilizational force in a post-Iran Middle East. There are most certainly risks that still have to be worked out inside the Sunni Arab world, no question, but they'll no longer have to contend with regional Iranian threats. And so all of this is to say that the Gulf is becoming the front line of this rising civilizationalist world. The rise of the Sunni Arab world from the ashes of the collapse of its Shiite rival will indeed have ramifications for all the world for the foreseeable future.
And there you go. So, I understand that what a affluent, beautiful, rich, in whether physical or monetarily, it's a beautiful place. If you look into Saudi Arabia, if you look into all that, if you look into Dubai, you look in all these places, you understand they don't want this trash around them. Let them sweep through, which they can, and let's just clean up this mess. We don't want this radicalized, DTA, death to who, and everyone else out there. We don't want this bleeding through everything. We don't want this flood of radicalization ever to happen again. And maybe this is the stopping of it. But when Obama, which I believe it has to be a crime, it has to be a treasonous crime, that you have a former president that dropped off and pallets of cash. What was it, $108 billion? Somebody give me that number. $180 billion? What was it? It was something along the lines of that, so that they could attain and create a possible nuclear weapon. And that's what we remember. Is that off the books now? Is that just kind of, I don't think that's a forgotten episode in this trilogy, a forgotten part of the movie of this trilogy or of this series that we're watching, this long movie that we are participating in real time, IRL. Let's just be honest with ourselves. So I think this gentleman really put things into perspective, that once this is taken down, the radicalism and so on and so forth, that you will have Saudi Arabia come in and sweep the rest. There's a lot of money involved. There possibly can be a lot of peace created. We got to get rid of the wicked, for sure. And the way that the Iranian people are shouting and screaming in the streets and are very happy with this from being mistreated. The Obama administration sent $400 million in cash to Iran in January 2016. Thank you. I thought it was a lot more than that. During his presidency, Barack Obama authorized over $115 billion in arms sales to Saudi Arabia, significantly increasing military support to the country. But they're an ally. But the $400 million, I don't, was that in like, I truly thought it was more than that. But it was straight up cash, pallets, flown on like a C-30 overseas, pallets of it, of our taxpayer funded money that we work for. Where does that go to? I don't know. I truly thought it was more than that. Maybe I just misremembering. I don't know. At all. So I may just be misremembering a lot. Yeah. This is what I was afraid of. Hopefully, this isn't what I think it is. Let's take a look. By the way, you're enjoying the show. Super chat. One person liked VW Blue Sky. Showing love and support. Help them out. Do it. It was 1.3 billion. That's what I thought. If the petrol, yes, I thought it was in the billion. I thought it was a billion. It was Lucy Rose Petal. I thought it was $7 billion to Iran. I'm telling you, I think it was. I think it was 1.8. What does this guy have to say? Good God. Let's take a listen.
یه سری تروریست حمله کردن به باشگاه ما و شروع کردن به تیراندازی. 17 تا تیر جنگی زدن. کل این پیاما من گرفتم، اما میبینین که چطوری به باشگاه ما حمله کردن که تمام تلاشمون این بود که بتونیم اینجا صدای مردم باشیم و جای گلوله هاشون رو میبینیم که دیگه چطوری رفته. و این باشگاه از موقعی که تازه باز کردیم مقر فعالیت های ما بود در تورنتو، اما واقعیتش اینه که من آرزومه که در راه ایران و در راه علمی باشی، یا از طرف علی این آرزو رو شما به گور میبرین، ایران رو پس میگیریم.
Canada is full of Islamic terrorists. Jesus. Islamic Jahreem sleeper cells in Toronto fired 17 bullets into an Iranian activist boxing gym. Canada is full of Islamic terrorists. Good Lord in heaven. Wow. Wow. And that's where we're at right now. You know? And they've also released all these files or video. What in God's name is this? I'm just kind of freewheeling it right now. Don't want dead air. How's everybody doing? Trust term. Thank you for the cookie. The $1.7 billion transferred to Iran in January in 2016 was a settlement of a decade-old claim. It coincided with the implement day of the release of American prisoners. Okay, that sounds like Chat GPT or something? I don't know. Maybe not. Let me. Why is this not done? This is just now being released, so I definitely want to see. I mean, I've waited for this forever to hear what this broad has to say.
About what he was doing to set up the foundation. It was more on the substance of the work. How many drugs was he getting made in India? What was the, idea that was going to motivate, CGI to be what he wanted it to be? It was not in the weeds. It was the concept. It was, the excitement that he had about trying to establish the foundation and CGI.
And similar question for Mr. Band. Did you discussed the creation of CGI with Mr. Band?
I may have, because he was around. He worked for my husband. He was a personal aide to my husband, but I don't have any recollections of any specific conversations.
Such a lie. What are your thoughts on Uma Abedin and Frazzle Drip? Is there any thing to do with that, folks?
Broadly speaking, at any time, do you recall any discussions related to distancing the foundation or CGI from Mr. Epstein or Ms. Maxwell?
I don't recall any conversations. I know that sometime, maybe 2003 or so, Bill did not have any ongoing contact with Epstein. And in preparation for this hearing, you know, it became clear to him that Epstein was not interested in the charitable work that was motivating Bill as he traveled around the world, getting people to commit to providing low-cost drugs for not just HIV/AIDS, but eventually tuberculosis, malaria, and other diseases.
And what is your understanding of Mr. Epstein no longer wanting to participate in the foundation's philanthropic goals?
I don't, only in preparation for this have I been told that, you know, there was no real interest there. And, you know, there was no point in being involved or connected to him.
And we touched on this.
Brian, she's a pro at lying, yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You said you're not aware of Mr. Epstein donating to the foundation. Would you consider, let me back up. President Clinton took trips on Mr. Epstein's jet, is that correct?
Yes.
Would you consider offering a private jet as a donation in kind to the foundation?
Well, I don't know what the rules are under the 501c3 regulations, but it was certainly a gift, and he was, you know, one of a number of people who provided transportation so that Bill could do the work he was doing.
What about the blue dress, Hillary, as you wear that and suit? The same exact thing that Bill was wearing.
I think we touched on this. Did Mr. Epstein end up donating to the foundation or CGI?
I have no personal knowledge of that.
Lie.
You're not aware of a $25,000 donation from Mr. Epstein's affiliated companies to the foundation?
Only what I was told was alleged in preparation for this testimony. I did not know about that, and I don't know that it's true.
Are you aware of the Clinton Foundation reviewing any records in regard to Mr. Epstein donating to the foundation?
I will have to ask our lawyers. I did not.
Have you had any conversations about the foundation reviewing those donations made by Mr. Epstein?
I think I'll have to ask our lawyers. I don't know. I didn't review them.
Understood. Ms. Mace, did you have some questions?
I did. Thank you for being here this afternoon. In your opening remarks, you mentioned this is political theater and partisan. Do you believe the Epstein files are a vast right-wing conspiracy?
Great question.
I think if they are fully released as the Transparency Act requires, that would be fulfilling the responsibility of the Justice Department, but it appears that there have been many issues with the full release, so I'm not going to characterize it other than to say I think that's a well-known fact.
Are you aware that both Republicans and Democrats voted to subpoena you and your husband?
I am here.
Okay. Are you aware both Republicans and Democrats voted to hold you in contempt when you didn't show up?
I am Here.
Is that partisan when both parties vote to do something together? Is that partisan or nonpartisan?
I think it's standing up for the institution, but there are many other aspects of the committee's work that strikes me as avoiding the main issues about who should be sitting here, who has actual information that might be useful to your investigation.
As a survivor, I'm a survivor. I appreciated your opening statement and your prioritizing some of these issues. Have you always believed this way? Have you believed this way for some time?
Have I what?
Have you believed what you believed in your opening statement for some time?
Yes, I have.
How long have you had those beliefs or held those beliefs in your opening statement?
Very long.
In 1998, you had those same beliefs?
Yes.
2005?
Yes.
2008?
Yes.
2012?
Sure.
2016?
Mm-hmm.
2020?
Mm-hmm.
2024 to present day, you've held these beliefs the whole time?
Yes, I have.
Have you always believed that women abused by powerful men should be believed?
I know where you're going with this, and I have nothing to say about anything in the past. I'm here to answer questions about this investigation.
So do you believe that women who are abused by Epstein and an Epstein circle of associates should be believed?
I think that many of them have made very credible accusations.
Have you always thought that, do you think that women abused by powerful men should get justice?
I think that they should have their time to be evaluated, and where there is adequate evidence, they should certainly get justice, and perpetrators should be held to account.
The question was, have you always thought that women abused by powerful men should get justice?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I agree. Are you aware that, you were aware, I think you said this earlier, that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted in 2008 for procuring a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute, correct?
That's what the charges were, yes.
And you were aware of that in 2008?
I don't recall that I was aware then.
And in 2008, you were a U.S. Senator still?
I was.
Would you say that Jeffrey Epstein is one of the world's most prolific sex traffickers?
From what we know, he certainly engaged in his predatory activities for a long period of time.
Would you say he's one of the world's most prolific sex traffickers?
I don't know what to compare it to. There are terrible sex trafficking rings all over the world.
And you said you were Secretary of State from 2009 to 2013?
Mm-hmm.
And you state your agency prioritized combating sex trafficking internationally, correct?
That's correct.
During your time as Secretary of State, did you or the state receive any intelligence cables or briefings mentioning Epstein's foreign travel, pedophile island, or his network of pedophiles and sex trafficking?
Not that I am aware of, no.
How did you miss it? If he's, I believe, one of the most prolific sex traffickers in the world, you were Secretary of State, how did you miss it?
Well, that would have been a matter of the Justice Department, not the State Department.
But in your opening statement, and your statements earlier in your opening statement, you stated that Secretary Rubio should be called to testify. And you said that he has, and the administration has, quote, abandoned survivors using the same logic. You were Secretary of State during a time period after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of being a pedophile and soliciting children for sex. Why then did you, quote, using your own logic, abandon survivors?
What is the question, please?
I followed her comment. First of all, we focused on whether there were laws that made sex trafficking, sexual slavery, domestic violence, other abuses of women on the books in countries. And then we tried to evaluate, were those laws being implemented? And were judges appropriately trained and briefed about how to implement those laws? Were governments taking them seriously? We looked at the broad institutional approach to these very serious abuses.
Would you say the U.S. government at that time, during this time period, was appropriate with the way that it handled Epstein?
I don't think that you could say that was true about any of the government's prosecutorial efforts, starting with the Southern District of Florida and Alex Acosta and all those who basically gave him a sweetheart deal. And then I think going up the chain, there was very little attention paid that should have been paid. But what we had.
Just the aggression and like her facial, expressions and stuff. Does anybody remember that Secret Service could have been Dan Bongino? I could be wrong on this. Said that she smelled of sulfur. Does anybody remember that?
laws on the books, they were not being implemented. But that was not within my purview, because what we were looking at is what's the institutional structure, and can we do more to make sure countries take it seriously? Our country had laws on the books.
So
this man was not held to account.
If it was not in your purview when you were Secretary of State, then why is it today in Secretary Rubio's purview?
Because what's happened is that the office that was actually following what was going on around the world has been decimated. 70% of the staff is gone. It's impossible to carry out the functions of that office if you don't have a critical number of people. So my question would be to Secretary Rubio, is there more that can be done?
I'm running out of time here. You were clothed with immense power as Secretary of State. You've stated on the record in your opening statement that child sex trafficking in general, human trafficking, trafficking of all kinds was a priority. You were clothed with immense power. Your husband was clothed with immense power. And until you got this subpoena and until these files were out in the open, you did nothing to try to effectuate all of these things. You say that should have been done. Is that correct?
No, it's totally incorrect. I mean, all of your assumptions are ones that I reject.
When you saw photos of your husband in a hot tub laying on a beach and getting massaged by other women, and you knew that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in some of these trips and these things, did it concern you at all?
I'm here not to offer my opinions. I'm here to answer specific questions to the best of my ability.
When you saw your husband in these photos with young women being massaged, what went through your mind?
I am not going to speculate.
You didn't have any feelings about young women massaging your husband?
I am not going to offer opinions or speculation about anything that I have no context for and was not there.
After you learned that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of sex crimes with kids, did any of these photos of your husband with women being massaged on the beach, did it concern you?
I have no context for even answering that question. And I think, you know, obviously the innuendo, all the rest of it.
I'm asking a black and white question. I'm not putting any leading statements into it or adjectives. Did you do anything to determine what was happening in those images or on those trips that once you saw these photos, once you realized Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted sex offender of children, did you do anything to determine what was happening on these trips with your husband?
I don't find any of your questions to be relevant to the investigation.
Well, it is relevant if a former president was traveling around with young women.
Well, you'll have a chance to talk to him tomorrow.
You said this morning you did not solicit funds from Jeffrey Epstein, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Did anyone solicit funds from Jeffrey Epstein on your behalf?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you ever invite Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to any of your political fundraisers?
I did not personally invite them to my political fundraisers.
Did anyone personally invite them on your behalf?
I do not know.
Is the purpose of a political fundraiser to solicit funds?
You would know that it is.
Okay, and you stated this morning you've never communicated with a Sarah Kay, correct?
I do not know who Sarah Kay is.
Okay, she is a councilwoman from New Rochelle, which is about how many miles from here?
Not very far away.
20 to 25?
I have no idea.
I have an exhibit I would like to enter. This is an email dated September 30th, 2014. Am I allowed to enter an exhibit?
Yes, ma'am. This will be Exhibit 13, I believe. Majority Exhibit 13.
Okay, it's from September 30th, 2014.
Big breath right there.
And please provide the witness with a copy.
Okay. You have a copy of it?
Yeah.
You guys have it?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And can you read me the subject line of the email?
Following up event with Hillary Clinton and Congresswoman Lowy.
Do you know who Congresswoman Lowy is?
She was our congresswoman here for many years.
And who is the email from?
Someone named Sarah Kay.
Above that, you have that very top one. Okay. All right, from Sarah Kay, and it's redacted on who was sent to. Can you read me the email?
Okay, thank you very much for the prompt reply. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for the invitation, but unfortunately, Jeffrey will not be able to attend. Thanks so much for speaking with me just now. Attached, please find the invitation and response card for the event we spoke about with Hillary Clinton and Congresswoman Lowy at the Harvard Club. That was a fundraiser, I believe, for Congresswoman Lowy that I attended to support her, is my recollection.
Okay. And this is an email. This is an invitation to the fundraiser where you were there.
Do you have any idea if the Epstein referred to is the Jeffrey Epstein? There's a lot of people named Epstein in this area.
This is in the DOJ files.
I have no knowledge of it.
It says Mr. and Mrs. Epstein.
Yeah,
in fact.
I have no knowledge of this.
Okay, so it could be a different Jeffrey Epstein.
I have, you're showing me an email from someone who I don't recall knowing about a fundraiser that wasn't for me, but was for Congresswoman Lowy. I have no information.
Okay.
I went to the fundraiser to support my friend Nia Lowy.
What a
All right.
sociopath.
Excuse me, can I interrupt?
I have
There are
another.
photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying from inside this room. Can you please advise me as to whether or not that's permissible and consistent with the rules, particularly given that we have asked for a public hearing? If there are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying, can you please explain how that
I'm
can
done
occur?
with this. If you guys are doing that, I am done. You can hold me in contempt from now until the cows come home.
Wow.
This is just typical behavior.
We will go off.
Wow.
Oh, for heaven's
So
sake.
I would like to understand how that's permissible.
Before the hearing was.
It doesn't
Excuse
matter.
me.
We all are abiding by the same rules.
Woo! I got more.
The question. I'm going to answer your question.
Now you're gonna yell
This
at
was
me?
what I spent
You're
my
going to yell at
time
me.
doing.
I'm a
I
survivor
spent
trying
She
to
has
look
to
out
do
for other
the-
survivors trying to
and
get to the
I
bottom
was
of it.
taking care
You
of
waited
the
6
people
months
who
to
lost
get here today.
3,000
6 months,
lives
and now you're being
at World
defiant
Trade
and
Center.
indignant.
The question. I'm going to answer your question.
Now you're going to yell
This
at me.
That. The demon's getting enraged.
was what I spent
You're
my
going to yell at
time
me.
doing.
I'm a
I
survivor
spent
trying to look out for other
Well,
survivors trying to
and
get to the
I
bottom
was
of it.
taking care
You
of
waited
the
6
people
months
who
to
lost
get here today.
3,000
6
lives
months, and now you're being
at World
defiant
Trade
and
Center.
indignant today.
You asked me
I have
about
met
Howard
with Epstein
Lutnick.
survivors. I'm a survivor myself. You have emails. You've denied that Jeffrey Epstein, that you tried to get Jeffrey Epstein to give money to you.
I did
but
not.
Howard Lutnick was
If
used
you
to
have an
get
email
money.
with me asking Jeffrey
I
Epstein
have
for
an
money,
email from Howard Lutnick sending it to
what's the
Jeffrey
question?
Epstein and his
What's the-
people to
I
raise
don't-
money for
I don't
you
know about-
for an event, an intimate event for you at his offices
Well,
at Cantor Fitzgerald. You're
look,
going to sit
if
here
you-
today
if you would
and,
let me
and,
finish.
and obfuscate and say to this committee, you didn't try to get money from Jeffrey
I
Epstein
didn't.
when
I
there was
didn't.
an intimate event in an email that Howard Lutnick emailed to Epstein's people and Epstein to get him to come to your intimate event at Cantor Fitzgerald, a very small event. And so I'm not going to public. You want to yell at me, that's fine, but I'll yell right back.
Well,
okay? I am looking out for
it's
survivors.
very-
I'm doing
look.
the job that you would not do and refuse to do as Secretary of State. Thank you, and I yield back to
No,
Congresswoman.
I'm going to finish answering the question, which I have a right to do. I am very sympathetic to your personal situation. I have read about it. I have seen you testify or speak on the floor about it. And I very much sympathize with not only what you went through, but appreciate your effort to stand up for survivors. I was a senator representing the people who were murdered on 9/11. Nobody lost more people than Howard Lutnick. You can say whatever you want. You can call him and have him appear before the committee. But I knew him as the man who lost the employees that he knew intimately, including his brother.
Let's go.
Joint campaign. Okay, sure.
Fun.
Okay, so we have talked about those connections. In past public statements, as in 2017 speeches and interviews, you described Pizzagate as a baseless conspiracy theory, alleging.
Oh my God, I have to go to the bathroom if we're getting into this. Holy Lord. Thea, thank you for the 300 gold pills. Anybody wants to add in over there on Super Chat? That would be great. That would be fantastic. Let me live chat that really quick. Yeah. Anybody want to help out with Super Chats? Go ahead and do so. Let me, I need to check over here. I got to use the restroom really quick. I want to continue with this. For sure. Boop. Anybody on Rumble? What's up, Rumble? The holy water must have been getting close to the seed of Satan, throwing a tantrum. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Wow. Nuts. All right, let me bring that back up. Y'all show that love. Let me use the restroom very quickly, okay? All right, let's go. Oh, my goodness. Here we go. How long have we awaited this?
You and others ran a child sex trafficking ring from a Washington pizza campaign. Okay, sure.
Fun.
Okay, so we have talked about those connections.
So interesting.
In past public statements, as in 2017 speeches and interviews, you described Pizzagate as a baseless conspiracy theory, alleging you and others ran a child sex trafficking ring from a Washington pizzeria basement. Have you reviewed any 2025-2026 Epstein files that were released that you believe reference or relate to those specific 2016 claims regarding the Podesta emails, Comet Ping Pong Pizza used as code possibly?
I can't believe we're here.
I'm sorry,
right now.
does
You're
this
asking
relate-
her about whether
Excuse me.
she's reviewed emails in the Epstein
files.
files which relate to the wacky Pizzagate
You
scandal.
could characterize it however you want. I just would like to know if she's familiar with any of them.
So,
She's
excuse me,
commenting.
your question is about whether or not she has reviewed any emails in the Epstein release files about
What a cocky.
Pizzagate.
Correct.
Pizzagate was totally made up. It was an outrageous allegation that ended up hurting a number of people, that caused a deranged young man to show up with his assault rifle and shoot up a local pizzeria. I can't believe you're even referencing it. You should be.
There are connections to the language. I'm
Well,
not
the
talking
QAnon
about-
people believe there are. So
I don't know what QAnon
have at
people
it.
believe.
Have at it.
But you've accused certain parties, and I think even right now today, of promoting slow walking or information in ways that fuels conspiracies. In your view, did any Epstein Maxwell related investigations or file handling pre or post 2019 contribute to or intersect with the spread of Pizzagate style theories about Democrat figures?
Objection.
I have
Calls
no
for
way of answering. That is the
impossible
most
speculation.
ridiculously.
Have you or your representatives identified any Epstein file content that has been misinterpreted online to revive those claims? And what steps, if any, have you taken to clarify?
Again, object on the ground of.
I think that this is all very
Speculation.
reasonable.
It is
Well,
very reasonable.
first of all, I don't follow the crazy conspiracy stories that are online. I regret that anybody does. I find it quite sad, but also disturbing that people would believe some of what is put forth, like Pizzagate. So I have taken no steps to review anything.
Does anybody remember like Elsagate? Does anybody remember what took place with that furniture company? What was it called? Waze? What was it? Somebody let me know in the chat. Come on. Fairway? Not Fairways. What was the other one? Where they were selling like cheap IKEA furniture for $60,000? What was that? Dwayne Heim, 3723 with the 10 bones. Thank you so much. Love it, like it, leave it. Thank you so much for the 10 bones. Or hopefully there's more of these videos that come up. Haven't seen this footage yet. Trusty Turnip, thank you so much for the cookie. Subpack Vet, thank you for the phone over there. What was the other one? What was that called? People, come on. I know you guys hear me. I think it's like a 30-second delay. What was it? The furniture company that was selling that stuff like a cheap Wayfair. Thank you. D. Wayne, thank you. Yeah, $40,000 for like a cabinet set. Was that fake? Remember Elsagate? Does anybody remember Elsagate on YouTube? Does anybody remember that? I certainly do. Now we're seeing this on. Imagine how far we've come watching this now. We're literally watching this. 8 years ago, we were called freaks. She's still compelled by it. Nancy Mays, let's go, baby.
That might have any connection to something which I think is totally bogus.
John Podesta, your 2016 campaign chair, appears in some Epstein file contexts, social overlaps or mentions. Were you aware of any of the Podesta-related communications in the released files?
Can you please provide?
Again, D. Wayne, the hunters have become the hunted. Everyone like that watching on YouTube.
Examples or the evidence that you would like us to review, or the exhibits that reflect that. In order for her to be able to do
get
that.
some exhibits and pause this question
Speak to
in
that
the
when you
meantime.
provide those.
I will get those, and I will skip that question until we can.
Generally, if she's aware.
Generally, she is asking if she's aware of specific information that is in the files that you all are relying on. Please provide the witness with copies of that material.
Doesn't know or has no recollection, she's welcome to state so.
We're also welcome to actually see the information that you're speaking to.
And again, the representative is asking general.
I mean, really,
Who
I
laughs?
I expected a lot of interesting questions today, but Pizzagate was not on my list.
That's okay. We're asking all sorts of things here.
You certainly are. You certainly are.
We're just trying to get the truth out to the American people.
Well, that
and
would
get
be
some clarity.
very
We
helpful.
came, we saw, he
Are
died.
you aware of any files that were on Anthony Weiner's laptop in a folder that was titled insurance, life insurance, with a zip file titled
Excuse me,
frazzled?
I'd like the chairman's
This is
no,
way
I'd like
outside
the
the
chairman's
scope.
ruling.
This is way
within
and
the
then they
scope?
cut it off
Is this
right
within the
there.
scope, Mr.
If
Chairman?
the chairman rules that it's not within the scope,
Mr.
I have
Chairman, the chairman.
top in a folder that was titled insurance, life insurance, with a zip file titled
Excuse me, I'd
frazzled.
like the chairman's
This is
ruling. No,
way
I'd like
outside
the
the
chairman's
scope.
ruling.
This
Is
is
this
way
within the
outside the
scope?
scope.
Is this within the scope, Mr.
If
Chairman?
the chairman rules that it's not within the scope, I
Mr.
have
Chairman,
other
based on
questions.
what you said in the public hearing, is this within the scope?
We can go off the record for a moment. To
Mr. Chairman, is this within the scope?
We'll go off the record.
and consult.
Wow. Please, God, say there's more to this.
That's not a lot to go on, and I would note that one of the charges Ms. Maxwell faced was perjury.
I'm going in real time. If you're enjoying the show, show that love. Right now. We're in real time, folks. All right, let's go.
That's not a lot to go on, and I would note that one of the charges Ms. Maxwell faced was perjury. But do you recall ever meeting Ms. Maxwell on a flight from Massachusetts to New York?
I don't recall it. I'm not going to say it didn't happen, but I don't recall it. And my memory too, counsel, and you would have to check this, but I believe I was told that in her long interview with Todd Blanche, it's Todd Blanche, right? Todd Blanche, the deputy.
Oh, very good. J2 Dank. Good to see you, Dank. Would you prefer Benghazi questions? Do you want us to switch over to that? How about that? You want us to do that? Trusty Turnip says, where is Podesta these days? Yeah. Who knows? Wow. Crazy. Only 2 people thumbs up. Dwayne Heim. Come on. Super chats are welcomed. And pills are welcome. Gold pills, let's go.
Attorney General, she herself said that she attended the wedding as Ted Waite's guest.
She was there.
In that same interview, Ms. Maxwell said that she visited your home in Chappaqua a few times and that she was invited. Do you have any memory or knowledge of Ms. Maxwell being invited to and visiting your home?
I do not, and I was not present for any visit if one occurred.
It's been reported that in September of 2013, at a Clinton Global Initiative conference in New York, Ms. Maxwell was recognized as a commitment to action partner for her work on behalf of the Terramar Project, which was an ocean conservation nonprofit that she founded in 2012. Do you have any recollection of whether you were at that event? So that's a Clinton Global Initiative conference in New York in September.
I believe I attended the conference, but during the conference, there are many different sessions going on. There are some main stage sessions with very high profile people. We've had an extraordinary collection of world leaders, including Pope Francis and others. But then there are many of what are called breakout sessions that are smaller sessions where people gather usually around the issue they're interested in. So in this case, if it had been the oceans, there might have been a breakout session about that. And I do not recall seeing her there. I do not recall any knowledge of her being there. But if she were there,
I don't believe it.
And she were making a commitment, it would have been in one of these smaller sessions. And I have to add, you know, in 2013, Ms. Maxwell spoke at the United Nations. She gave a TED Talk. She was featured for her work about oceans in a long profile on CNN. So she...
You seem to know a lot about this woman. Who accounts or recounts anything about anybody? Oh, I remember that from 2013. Can you remember what was going on in 2013? That's 12 years ago. That's over a decade. And you're like, well, I can recount that she was doing a TED Talk and she was doing this benefit and yada, yada, yada. What? What? How do you, but you don't remember other things that we literally went through a 16-minute video prior. And she doesn't recall hardly anything. I don't know who this is from. This could be from any Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know any of this. But she can recount all of this. She can recall all of that from 2013. Who remembers 2 weeks ago?
Ms. Maxwell spoke at the United Nations.
Okay.
She gave a TED Talk.
How do you know? How do you remember this?
She was featured for her work about oceans in a long profile on CNN.
Who cares?
So she had a public...
But don't I have a point on that?
Persona.
What she's saying?
That the UN, the TED Talk people, CNN and the press all recognized, because nobody at that time knew what was later discovered.
And is it...
Can't we just go on gut feeling right now that all of this is real? Everything that we discovered back in 2016, 2017, when all of this was on 4chan, 8chan, 8kun, blah, 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 especially 4chan. And then we all saw it. I don't know if you guys were there. I was there, and I was looking at it and being like, oh, my God, all of this is real. Years go by. Oh, you're besmirched. Oh, you're a freak. What are you're a conspiracy theorist, all these sorts of things. And then look at where we're at right now. That both Republicans and Democrats subpoenaed you to come here, and you have to talk about this. And now it's being released? Doesn't everyone find this prolific? I just find this to be astonishing.
Right to say, and it sounds like you would not have had any direct role in organizing whatever her role was at that particular event.
Not that I recall.
At that point in 2013, if you can recall, how would you have characterized your...
But she recalls everything else from 2013. Benefits, TED Talks, everything else, but cannot recall this.
Was later discovered.
Right here.
And is it right to say, and it sounds like you would not have had any direct role in organizing whatever her role was at that particular event?
Not that I recall.
At that point in 2013, if you can recall, how would you have characterized your relationships with Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell?
Had no relationship, no knowledge of, never met or talked to Jeffrey Epstein. I viewed Ghislaine Maxwell as an acquaintance, someone that I might see, but had no real relationship with.
Thank you.
See this. What a great podcast. Show that love, show that support. Let's go. $1 can go a long way. Subscriptions can go a long way. Show that love. What are you doing? Let's go.
Yep. So you can see here that on April 27th, 1995, Lynn Forrester, now Lynn Forrester de Rothschild, sounds like served on a few committees or boards under your administration, wrote you a note. I'll just read part of that note out loud. Dear Mr. President, it was a pleasure to see you recently at Senator Kennedy's house. There was too much to discuss and too little time. Using my 15 seconds of access to discuss Jeffrey Epstein and currency stabilization, I neglected to talk to you about a topic near and dear to my heart, namely affirmative action and the future. And that's the end of the relevant portion. I just wanted to ask whether you have any specific recollection of this note or of your conversation with Miss Forrester.
I don't.
As far as you can remember, at this point in the middle of 1995, how would you have characterized your relationship with Mr. Epstein?
It would be virtually non-existent.
Do you recall any other interactions that occurred between yourself and Mr. Epstein during your time in office that have not already been mentioned today?
No. I think I've told you everything I know.
In October of 1999, toward the end of your time in office, we know that Epstein contributed $20,000 to the First Lady's joint fundraising account. Would you have any memory or knowledge of that particular contribution?
No, was that for a White House related thing?
No, joint fundraising, he means the Senate.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Okay, I am going to move to the years after your presidency. We'll do this in chronological order as well. Your second term.
But because I don't believe I should inject anything. But I do not want to leave the impression, but since there was no follow-up question, the president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either. He just didn't. That's the truth. As I said earlier, the only conversation I had with President Trump about this was in the early 2000s. And I have no information that he did anything wrong. I just want it all out there. I want everybody to get it all out there and let everybody see where we are.
President Trump didn't do anything wrong, and I want this information to be out there. I want everything to be out there. From Christ Jesus Energetics. If you listen to the words and not the phrase of, in quote, I cannot recall or I don't recall, it's legal language describing the current state of being, not the actual truth of the matter. Interesting. Okay. Wow. Very interesting. God, I want to watch all of this. Uranium 1, yeah, let's think about that too. Good God. I want to hear more. Is there more?
But do you recall ever meeting Ms. Maxwell on a flight?
Fundraiser to support my friend Nia Lowy.
All right.
Seen the document before.
This is the first time you're ever seeing this document. Earlier today, in my second round, I was asking questions. I'll give it this back. If you can read the last sentence.
Would you please read?
I'm not interested in reading something.
Let's hear this. We get some more. Join the show. Show that love. Show that support. Do what you can. Appreciate it. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing good. Yeah, Thea, you're right. Yeah, they were selling children. All that stuff. Literal cannibalism. For sure. For sure. Nothing over here on Rumble. Let's watch this.
Seen the document before.
This is the first time you're ever seeing this document. Earlier today, in my second round, I was asking questions, and I made mention that about President Clinton's visits to Epstein Island and that a possible cover-up about those visits, and I was called a liar, I believe, by somebody on the other side of this table. And so I told you
I don't think I did that. Do
that
you?
I would provide this document and go over it with you. This is an interview by the FBI of an Epstein victim. It is 3501.144-032. And on page 8, which I'll give back to you, or I can read it to you.
Thea, they did ask about frazzle drip. They did ask about that, and her lawyers exploded, and then she put her hands over her head. That's what happened, and it was just cut off.
I'll give this back. If you can read the last sentence.
Would you please read?
I'm not interested in reading something. I have no idea what it is. If you want to read it, go right ahead.
Okay, I'll read it. I was called a liar over this. So this particular victim stated on the record in an interview with the FBI, Epstein wanted blank, the name of victim number 1, to say that blank, victim number 2, was a liar and that President Bill Clinton was never on Epstein Island. So I stated earlier for the record that Epstein directed victims to lie about your husband's visits to Epstein Island. I was called a liar. This is the
Excuse me, you were
document.
called, that is not accurate. The record will reflect, and the court reporter can read it back with respect to whether or not President Clinton had ever been on Epstein Island. If somebody had represented that, that would not be accurate.
So I said that
was nobody
Jeffrey
made a
Epstein
statement about
directed
you.
that Jeffrey Epstein directed this victim to state a lie about Bill Clinton never visiting the island. Now on page 7, for the record, which I know you've never seen, there's a fully redacted paragraph, and that fully redacted paragraph in the unredacted files of the DOJ reveal that President Clinton, it redacts his name, and it also discusses notepads that the victim wrote down in phone calls with Jeffrey Epstein because she was told to lie about another victim and lie about Bill Clinton's visits to Epstein Island. I don't know why this information is redacted. And also the attachments in this file, by the way, there were notes. You cannot see those at the DOJ. They are still redacted, which is the reason we're here today. We want to get to the bottom of this and get the truth. My next question is...
Excuse me, was there a question?
I'm making a statement. I want to know if she's ever seen this document before. She was aware. I was called a liar earlier. This victim was told by Jeffrey Epstein to lie about Bill Clinton's visits to...
She answered that question.
Okay. I just was answering the question for the attorney. I have majority exhibit number 20 that I would like to enter into the record. And this is page 88 of a federal case between Virginia Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell. On page 88...
Could you hold 1 second? Oh, that's different.
That's going to be 20?
Yes, sir.
Could you hold for 1 second, please?
No, this is something else coming here. That's 20, I think.
That's 20, right? He has in his hand 20. Your in your hand is
The other redacted page that we handed out was
the cover page.
A printout we got from the other document to hand to you guys, the exhibit 19 she was talking about earlier.
So we should be looking at exhibit 8 right now. Is that right?
Correct.
And not anything related to the other document.
For the record, it is labeled exhibit 20 but the actual document states exhibit 8 on the front. That is
That was just a cover page I had
Yes.
printed off just because these documents are hundreds of pages. I'm not an attorney.
No, forgot.
And just to be clear, it's a single page of some exhibit to a court filing, and
That's hundreds of pages long.
There are 2 pages.
could you please represent for the record what court filing this is and what the title of the document is?
This would be the Virginia Giuffre v. Maxwell federal lawsuit. It's case 115 CB 07433-LAP, filed on the 1st of January 2024, and it's page 88 of that documentation.
What's the title of the filing?
It's the lawsuit.
Well, there are many.
I don't have the
pleadings in a
cover
lawsuit. Is it a
page. I don't have the
complaint?
cover
Is it
page
discovery?
for-
Is it interrogatory?
in that document.
We don't know what this is? Okay.
Can we take a minute to read this, please? Thanks.
It's the first shaded paragraph I'm going to ask about.
Nothing really there. Okay. Whatever. Man. I would love to just save these.
This, but because I don't believe I should inject anything.
Very weird. I just find it insane that right now we currently we have 204,000 subscribers and 60 people are watching. How is that even real? How is that real? That's nuts. Let's see what Lindsey Graham has to say.
Is President Trump finished the job that President Reagan failed to do. I am a big admirer of Ronald Reagan, but I'm here to tell you that Donald Trump, in my opinion, is the gold standard for Republicans, maybe any president, and when it comes to foreign policy. Maduro, everybody talked about him. Well, Donald Trump's got him in jail. Cuba.
You talk out of both sides of your mouth, light and loafers, Lindsey Graham.
Cuba's next. They're going to fall. This communist dictatorship in Cuba, their days are numbered. The Iranian regime, the mothership of international terrorism, is about to collapse. The captain of the ship, the Ayatollah, is stone cold dead. All is...
So again, this guy back in, I don't know, I think it was like 2001. Nah, it was probably about 2005 or something like that. I think he got like $6 million from like Raytheon or Lockheed Martin, one of the two. He's a war hawk for sure. So he's talking about all these sorts of things. And that's what I was talking about earlier, was saying that, is it over? Like, after this, are we done? Like, you know, after Iran, we take that out, we take out that regime, then we just move into a quote-unquote golden age, or do we just continue moving? Is that where this leads us? Chat? We're going into Cuba? We're doing Cuba. That's what we're doing. That's what they want. And I'll read you this. 10 thoughts on Operation Epic Fury and its aftermath. As I write this on Saturday night, 2 nights ago, bring this down. As I write this on Saturday night, there is still a lot going on. And as such, I'll throw myself on the mercy of our readers for whatever has gone out of date between its writing and your reading. It's a very fluid situation. But in what looks like a very, very successful joint operation between Israeli defensive forces and the U.S. Navy and the Air Force, a significant decapitation strike has greatly degraded the Iranian regime, including harvesting some 40 top leaders of the Iranian regime, including Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, whose death has sparked worldwide celebrations from Iranians and Iranian expatriates. There are a lot of questions which will be asked about those strikes. We do not know the future and what will hold for Iran in its relationship, not just with the USA, but Israel, its neighbors, and its allies. But there are numbers of things which do come to mind, either as conclusions or at least observations of a fluid situation. Read the War Powers Resolution before you say this was an illegal order. The first reaction to strike on Saturday from Democrats and those other who trashed them was that the president, what he did was illegal. And that's a lie. You might believe that airstrikes against Iran should require a declaration of war by Congress, and I might be persuaded by your arguments if you have any which are well thought out. But as a matter of legality, it's to remember that Congress hasn't declared war since the aftermath of Pearl Harbor 85 years ago. Sorry, the text is small. There have been a whole lot of military actions since then. The president has been more and less plenary power to conduct military actions against foreign enemies under current law. He doesn't have the power to sustain that activity for more than a couple of months, but he can call in airstrikes anywhere that he wants. Interesting. That's what you get when you keep a highly competent, far-reaching military and technological age. In the days formal declarations of war, when they were established, the purpose of having Congress hold that power was that a free country wouldn't have the money to maintain a large standing army. So you'd get Congress to declare what was a rationale for spending the money to raise an army to prosecute that war. But we did it anyway after the World War of II, because we were functionally at war with the Soviet Union almost immediately. And in this modern age, when you can launch airstrikes and missiles in the age, of course, of history, in ways that entire armies were previously required for, the old calculus doesn't really hold. Number 2, no imminent threat. Watching Jonathan Turley on cable news Saturday night yielded an interesting notion. Turley said that by the time Congress would debate an authorization for the airstrikes, the fact on the ground would make it the conversation utterly ridiculous. It's gone almost without saying for most of our lives, or at least of our adult lives, for those of us who are more seasoned citizens, that Iran was an imminent threat to American national interests. But if you're unimpressed by that fairly obvious fact, there's this. Now that we have hit Iran and taken out Khamenei, the defense minister, the head of the country's judiciary, he signed off on the slaughter of almost 30,000 or more political dissidents over the past few weeks. The head of the Revolutionary Guard Corps and of other hosts and others. It's pretty damned obvious that what's left of that regime is an imminent threat now, which has happened. They've taken them out, including who knows how many Iranian assets are sitting inside a country right now waiting to cause mayhem, or somewhere else that they can attack American interests, maybe on domestic soil, for sure. What sticks in my head is the speech that Franklin Delano Roosevelt gave after Pearl Harbor. The verbiage FDR used was that. I asked the Congress declare that since unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire. We don't need to know this, and don't suggest that we do. But if you want to go down that road so badly and want to adhere to that standard, which, regardless of what I'd like to see is fairly obvious, obsolete based on the differences in reality between now and 1941, where do you think we are visibly, what is this? Vis-a-vis FDR's message to Congress on December of 1941. Does a state of war exist? The USA and the Iranian regime? It doesn't matter whose fault you think it is. This isn't a moral judgment so much as a recognition of reality. And the reality you better not pull in the claws now. Libya was unprovoked. This wasn't. The other stupid argument being thrown around, my favorite advocate of this is Ben Rhodes. He is of the Assinin Obama-Iran deal. Is that the attacks on the Iranian regime were unprovoked? The administration Rhodes somehow managed to become relevant in bombings of Gaddafi and their government in Libya out of existence during the so-called Arab Spring in 2011. Now that was unprovoked. Whatever you think Gaddafi, and you shouldn't remember him too fondly, the Bush administration sent Condoleezza Rice to strike a detente with him. He surrendered his weapons of mass destruction programs. He was working with us to identify and eliminate al-Qaeda terrorists. We hadn't just normalized relationships with him, but we had gotten the consideration for having done so. You could say it was stupid or craven that we did so, and I'm agnostic about that. But once we didn't have a casus belli with him, and yet the administration Ben Rhodes worked in unilaterally and without provocation, bombed his regime out of existence and set him up to be torn apart by a mob of animals in the middle of the desert. These same people want to talk about the injustice of bombing of Khamenei and his friends into oblivion. At some point, maybe you should ask yourself whether you really are just anti-American rather than just anti-war. Regime change in Iran is 47 years overdue. No matter how of an isolationist you are. Whatever you think of Trump and whatever you think of Israel, you have to admit that what happened on Saturday was the fault of the Iranian regime. They've absolutely had it coming. This is a government which, as we've discussed in this column, has allowed one of the most basic functions of governance, getting enough fresh water and supply to their own capital, to go completely unaddressed while wasting their money on missile programs, a nuclear program, staffing up terrorist armies in Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, becoming a world leader, the production of military drones, and a host of bad guy activities. Saturday was long overdue, and everybody knows it. For that reason, despite everything you heard, the initial polls gave a comfortable margin of favorability for those attacks. Number 5, let's not forget that both Israel and the Saudis asked us to do this, and we talked about this earlier. That's from the Washington Post, which had a story on Saturday which said both the Saudis and the Israelis lobbied Trump for a green light on the attacks. That Israel and Saudis would agree on anything that is notable, but it's even more so that they agreed on, essentially, a mini war on a Muslim country. It should challenge your notions about Saudi Arabia. Suspicion of their motives certainly warranted. It's not a secret that Saudis were the funders and facilitators on the 9/11 attacks. That's not true. On the other hand, that was 25 years ago, and Saudi Arabia is not really the same country as a generation later. It's more Western, definitely more pro-American, and without question, more suspicious of Iran. I get that. Number 6, stop demanding a plan for Iranian secession. That's for the Iranians to do. I keep seeing people saying this, that most prominent of them is the atrocious Ann Applebaum, who posted a ridiculous piece in The Atlantic titled, "Trump has no plan for the Iranian people," trashing Saturday's strikes. This is utterly idiotic, globalist bullcrap. It isn't particularly our business what comes next in Iran, but sure, we might have an option or two to offer if the Iranians would accept Reza Pahlavi's offer to return a traditional leader on the way to something reflecting of more of a consensus of the Iranian people. That's great, but it's hardly the only way to go. Maybe there's something more opportunistic. A commander within the regime who knows what time it is and is capable of going with the flow. A couple of people who were supposed to be at that meeting at the Supreme Leader's palace, but magically didn't show up and might have shown themselves worthy of a deal. Interesting. Exercising the demons of Iraq and Afghanistan finally. On the right, it has turned into catechism, particularly as part of perceived Trump's doctrine that we're rejecting globalism and embracing more America First philosophy, which is more these articles are crazy. Isolonist, whatever. And the sales pitch for what is involved in the rejection of stupid adventurism like we saw in Iraq. Yeah, we don't want this played out. NATO is worthless and our participation isn't urgent anymore. I mean, that speaks for itself. What about Russia? They've been badly outplayed. Yeah, they have. China's response? Chinese. Baizao is a Chinese word for the leftists. It basically translates to useful idiots, and no sooner did Trump announce the strikes on China pals and the major sources of crude oil was under attack. But there were Baizhou in the streets of New York and Washington screeching about Trump's illegal war with Iran. They want the oil. Yes, we're expending a lot of tomahawks. And there's a real problem that we don't have enough. And we stupidly relied on the Chinese parts for them that we need to effectively replace. That's a problem. But it isn't half as bad as not having any fuel. I said it before for a number of reasons. The Chinese aren't going into Taiwan. Instead, they'll adopt the KGB's old tactics and simply buy the American left, which they are doing. Don't mistake for half a second that the pro-Iran bent of politicians and activists is actually deployed by China, because that's exactly what it is. They'll do whatever they have to do. I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in. We went 2.5 hours. Good gracious. Vis-a-vis. Thank you. Let me go ahead and release the gold pills. I think Brett will be here tomorrow. That would be good. Texas GG, thank you for the love. Off topic, Thomas, but I remember when you were had a brilliant response on the Epstein property in New Mexico. You were on fire back then. You have a natural talent. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. And everybody watching, thank you all so very much. We released the gold pills. Thank you for everybody who super chatted. You can still do so, folks. We love you guys very much. I released the gold pills. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to one another. And just know that in the end, God wins. I pray to God this goes in the right direction. I certainly do. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you tomorrow, Brett Collins. Peace.